Welcome back to Skating Penguin Network, everyone. It is Robbie here again. It is Monday, May 5th, so we are in the first full week of May now, first Monday in May. And as always, joined on the other end of the mic by Snail. And before we dive into our topics for this episode, let's just toss over to Snail real quick and see how things are going on the other side of the United States.
Things are pretty swell out here. It's been a while since we've chatted. It feels like we had a pretty busy kind of end of the month there, or end of the season. It's weird. It's still technically spring, but it kind of feels like summer started prematurely here. I just feel like there's an uptick in summer activities amongst my friends, various friend groups, and family. We've been fortunate not to get hit with any early May like bad weather. It's been pretty warm out. The sun has been out every single day. Playoff hockey feels like it's closer to June with the way that these series have gone. It felt like we just watched a couple of like conference finals, not first rounds. So all is good out here. Also I was gonna say yeah, man, it's sports. I think I've said this before. My favorite time of the year, Robbie, and I think you kind of have agreed with me before. There's nothing like that fall time when like baseball playoffs are happening, the NHL season is underway, the football season is underway, kind of that like back to school campusy feeling. I think that's my favorite time of year. But right now, dude, like the NHL playoffs have been just a treat. The NHL playoffs have been insane, and then the NLL playoffs have been pretty good as well. It's just it's a very for me like a kind of a underrated time of year.
Yeah, I mean spring's good. It definitely you're coming out of the cold and dreary of the winter. It's been a little rainy around here, but I mean the temperatures at least have been enjoyable. Like it's been mid 60s, 70s, not too hot, not too cold. I'd rather this kind of temperature when it rains rather than like 40 degrees, 50 degrees, because that just gets like it can get like bone chilly cold and like seep down into you. That kind of sucks. But
that sucks.
No, yeah, I mean school's about out. Our schools will be releasing here like right before the beginning of June. But like you said, playoffs are heating up, and they certainly heated up this weekend. We'll start on Saturday night in Dallas with what I thought was one of the best Game 7s I've ever seen.
Absolutely, man.
Colorado controlled this game for about 45 minutes. Played the perfect road Game 7 you could ask for. They're up 2-0. And then the beasts they created themselves appeared. Mikko Rantanen takes over this hockey game. Mikko Rantanen had, I think, 11 points in the final 3 games or something like that of this series. He had 4 in one period in Game 6 in a game that Colorado actually won. But Mikko Rantanen, that is the guy they traded. Willingly traded. They did not have to do it. They traded him. To their credit, they did try to trade him out of the Western Conference.
Yeah, they didn't trade him to Dallas.
But no, they didn't trade him to a division rival, but that's where he ended up after getting dealt from Carolina. And let me tell you, I mean, that was the reason that Dallas was willing to part with who was Logan Stankoven. Why they were willing to trade so much for Mikko Rantanen, because he is at his best a top 10 player in the NHL, and he absolutely took it to his former team in the third period of Game 7.
Dude, there was so much going through my head. I mean, it was that was pure cinema, that Game 7.
Oh, it was the Martin Scorsese meme.
It was
just cinema.
Just amazing. Yeah, they awoken a beast in Rantanen, and part of me is thinking, when that trade happened, I was kind of almost congratulating Colorado on. I thought that's a well-run. I mean, they are a well-run organization. I thought that was, they were showing the league that you don't always have to go back to the guy, that you don't always have to re-sign your horses. You can, if you're good enough and savvy enough, you could get out from under that contract, and you could find a way to get those, not totally going Moneyball on it, you know what I mean? But like, you can replace those goals. And I think what Colorado said when they traded him initially, they said that they wanted to get deeper. Well, Mikko Rantanen showed that, depth and all of that can be great, but what happens when you score a third period hat trick and assist on the game-winning goal?
Yep.
Sometimes players like that are capable of kind of just flipping the bird to your depth and say, I mean, look at McDavid and the Oilers. Like, their depth at time is very challenging, but sometimes when you have a special player, those guys, you can't replace them, is basically what I'm trying to say. And
no, you can't.
Incredible stuff there. Nate McKinnon devastated after that game. You got to think that I saw a funny tweet. McKinnon might storm into Sakic's office that night, and led by Mikko Rantanen or something like that. Just insane stuff. Robbie, where's your head at after that game 7? Like, what were you thinking, like, while the game was going on? Like, take me through your viewing experience when you were watching that pure cinema.
I felt like Colorado just, when they went up 2-0 and the way they were playing, I'm like, man alive, it's going to be really, really hard for Dallas to come back in this hockey game, even at home, unless they get a goal quick. And they did. Rantanen got that first one, and then they kind of just, like, Colorado just kind of made some mistakes then. Mikko Rantanen got that second one. He took the puck in the neutral zone and just walked around 3 guys, and the wraparound bounced off Sam Girard and went in.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one, Wyatt Johnson, he has 2 Game 7 winners now. A great play there. You can debate the penalty call, but a great passing play by Duchesne, and then a great shot from that angle. And then after that, Ottinger made a couple big saves late, but I felt like it was going to be really, really hard outside of a complete fluke goal for Colorado to get even again. And then Rantanen caps off the hat trick with the empty netter. I thought either team, whoever won this game, I thought deserved to win the series. I mean, it was that even of a series. It wasn't like one team was just goaling their way through. I thought both teams had a right to go through, or at least earned a right to go through. Unfortunately, only one could. This should have been a second round series, I think, at worst, but it wasn't. That's that is how it's set up right now. But I'm glad Dallas went through. Dallas is who I picked, so I'll take that. But just an absolute great hockey game. Everything you could want out of a series and a Game 7 was in that. It was just a great hockey game and fantastic. Just a great series from start to finish. It lived up to the billing, and Game 7 was just the cherry on top.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Dallas, I think going into this, I thought that these teams were really even. And I think on paper, they pretty much are. Both these teams could, if everyone was playing up to their capability, could win the Stanley Cup. But I thought Dallas kind of exposed Colorado's just not many teams in recent memory, Robbie, can you think of that had they pretty much overhauled their whole roster on the fly during the season and then went on to win anything more than a first round or something? Can you think of a team? I was trying to think of the Penguins, what was the most overhauling they did in a single season and they won something significant? I mean, you could argue 2015-16, right?
I mean, if you count in the coach and all that, that
it was
probably
youth,
their
though. It was guys coming up.
It wasn't really trades, absolutely. And Colorado did a lot of work on the fly too. But Dallas didn't have Miro Heiskanen or Jason Robertson for a single second in this series.
That's crazy.
The fact that they even went 7 is pretty phenomenal with that. With that facing them, and then to win the series. All credit to Pete DeBoer, who is now 9-0 in Game 7, which is, that is a insane stat. That's more than a series worth of Game 7s in itself that he's won, and with no losses in Game 7. So But I mean, from uh, a neutral perspective, doing what Dallas did with no Heiskanen and Robertson, those other guys stepping up. Sagan, I thought, had a good series. Duchesne is playing some of the best hockey that I think he's played in a really long time.
I know.
And then again, Wyatt Johnson is at what you expect, and Mikko Rantanen is a top 10 player in the NHL. He kind of Gensel kind of was labeled with the Crosby tag, or a product of Crosby tag, whereas Rantanen was kind of in the same boat. He was a product of McKinnon. He had to play with Makar. Could he do it? And then he struggled in Carolina. But it turns out that, I mean, when you're thrown again, he wasn't expected to ever be traded this season. Like, that was a complete curveball, and it was a curveball to everybody else. And now he's settled. He has that contract. He seems at home in Dallas, and I mean, he is. If you were voting on a first round Conn Smythe, I think it's pretty clearly Mikko Rantanen in this case.
For sure. I mean, the last thing I kind of I'll top off here was I will put my hand up and say I thought he was going to be the Jonathan Huberdeau 2.0. Like, Huberdeau is like a heart name is in the heart every year. He's always got 100+ points. And then he goes to Calgary and he turns into a pumpkin at midnight. Like, he just looks like, Huberdeau's had, like, I think he put up like a 40-point season. Maybe I don't even know. I don't actually know what his high has been since being in Calgary, but he has not been the same player. I kind of thought that was what was going to happen to Rantanen, to be totally honest. I was like, oh boy, he's a bigger body. Maybe they got out from under that contract as the bottom's falling out. We see it happen all over the league. But man, if anything, he was ready to go for the playoffs. I mean, the first couple of games he was quiet, but that contract is, if they win a cup this year, I mean, that contract or like his salary this year is paid. It's totally worth it for that performance he put on. So
absolutely.
I don't know if you want to shift over now, but I can tell you who would not be in the running for a first round Conn Smythe, and that is Connor Hellebuck of the Winnipeg Jets.
So yeah, we'll switch to the Sunday game, and that somehow in the end found a way to top the game on Saturday. This is Winnipeg and St. Louis, and I don't know what to say about Connor Hellebuck after this round.
Yeah.
I mean, he got pulled in all 3 road games. They lost all 3 road games. He got pulled in all 3. And even in the games they won, very suspect. Very suspect. In the I know that, Winnipeg, we'll talk about the full game in a second. They do advance, but Jordan Binnington outplayed him in this series. There's nothing to really say that, but I will say that after he gave up that goal late in the second period in Game 7, he did shut out the Blues for almost a complete game then, almost 3 periods then. So there is that, but I don't know what to say about Connor Hellebuck. Maybe this is the hump, the first round. I don't know, because there was goals he was letting in that you're just, what's going on here?
He was watching Tristan Jarry tape.
He must have been, because there's just something you're like, brother, what? Like, that's not even. And he just letting goals in that should not even. You don't even need to win a Vezina to be able to stop. It's just routine saves that he wasn't making, and it nearly punished them. But this Game 7, again, St. Louis runs out to a 2-0 lead. Cole Perfetti does get one back on the power play, but that one at the end of the second, when they scored to go up 3-1 St. Louis, I didn't think there was any way back for Winnipeg in this game. I really thought that was the nail. Even at home in that crowd, I really thought that was the nail in the coffin.
Oh yeah, I think everyone kind of did. I think that you could tell in the building, like, it was quiet. The whiteout wasn't as potent. Yeah, but man, Cole Perfetti, you brought him up. I mean, he had his coming out party, I think, in this game.
Well, I mean, Vladislav Nemeshkov gets a goal with the empty net with about 2 minutes left, and you're thinking, do they have just one more? Do they have one more? And they throwing everything in the kitchen sink at Bennington. Could not get one across the line. When Nikolai Ehlers fanned on that point shot.
Oh my God.
I thought, that's it. Somehow the puck got back to him, and he just whipped it across the ice. And you could even see him. He kind of just like laid on one knee thinking that was it. That's desperation. It just got to the stick of Perfetti, who just whipped it on net. It bounced off something, and with 1 point, I think it was 1.6 was on the clock.
Yep.
One of the most stunning goals I've ever seen in the NHL.
It was insane. I mean, that one, I didn't think that there could ever be a game that tops the game we watched the night prior with Dallas and Dallas and Colorado. That last few minutes, I'm not even kidding you, Robbie. I got up to go to the corner store with 1 minute and 45 seconds left. There was a whistle. I got up to go to the corner store, and I got a text message, and it just said, my buddy who I talk hockey with sometimes, he goes, "Wow, can you believe that? Chills." And I was just like, what happened? So I book it back from the corner store, get home, and I go to the TV, and they're in an intermission. Overtime's coming. I was like, are you kidding me? And you pull up Instagram, and the feed's just going crazy with all the replays of what had just transpired. So that is crazy. And you got to think that if that doesn't happen, like Hellebuck, did you see Hellebuck in the locker room post in the after that game? I mean, imagine that guy's mood if that doesn't happen. It just
I don't even know what is being said today if Cole Perfetti doesn't, if they don't win that game, like in general. I don't know what is being thought or what is being said today about the Winnipeg Jets. Like, obviously the win covers over a lot.
Yes.
And that's what everybody's going to focus on. But like, I don't know what's being said in and around Winnipeg throughout the NHL if they don't find a way to win that game, because again, even they go through one overtime, nobody scores into the second overtime, and the shot from the point from again, and they played this game without Mark Scheifele. Josh Morrissey went down in, I believe, the first period. Neil Pionk,
that was a big one. Morrissey.
That was Neil Pionk, I think, played over 40 minutes last night. Heroic effort by Neil Pionk. But his shot, he just throws one on net in the second overtime. It bounces off a Blues player, bounces off Adam Lowry, and Bennington never really has a shot at it. And that building just erupts. I cannot imagine like the difference in feeling between Winnipeg and St. Louis fans. Like, I don't know if I've ever experienced anything as devastating in sports as what St. Louis fans went through last night. I've been watching sports for 35 years. I don't know if I've ever felt not like, okay, I've watched my teams lose big games, but in that fashion, 1.5 seconds away from knocking out the best team in the NHL. And today you're getting ready to clean out your locker.
I don't know. I bore witness on TV when they didn't give the ball to Marshawn Lynch at like.
That's fair.
I went through that as a fan.
As a for that game as a Seahawks fan, because I hated the Patriots. That one definitely. I still think about that sometimes. I'm like, how did you not? All you had to do was give Marshawn Lynch the football and you win the Super Bowl again.
It wasn't even like third down. I don't think they had. Anyways, we don't need to go down that. Yeah. But the second you said that, I was like, I think for a long time, I'll have the King Daddy Topper to be able to say, I have never experienced pain like this. I'd be like, let me tell you about when they didn't give the ball to Marshawn.
I'll give you that one.
Dude, I mean, I had the Blues in this. I had it. I was like, oh my God, Blues are going to win it in 7. I left to the corner store. I was like, man, I think I got 2 series right in our predictions. And then I was like, well, Blues still got it. I think they could still win. Dude, I lost all faith in the Blues winning this game when I was seeing that first line. Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, and I can't remember who's the other winger, but they were so tired at one point. I was like, these guys look like they have nothing. Robert Thomas wasn't shooting the puck. Jordan Kyrou, who was not a physical guy, he was just ineffective. I was like, man, Winnipeg, if they pepper Binnington, and I saw it happening. They were just getting Pionk and who was Pionk's partner that night. They were just playing catch up at the blue line a couple of times.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this if it's just it's going to be a greasy tip or something. And it ended up going off. Did it go off Lowry?
It went off a Blues player and then hit Lowry after that. So Lowry got credit for the goal. That's all I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Blues tough. But you could argue too, like, I mean, there's always silver lining, right? Like this team didn't have playoff aspirations when the season started.
And they didn't have playoff aspirations when they hired Jim Montgomery.
That's true. When they hired Jim Montgomery, which happened,
was more of a he coached 60 games, so it was earlier in the season than you think it was. But I did learn today. Oh yeah, I think he hired him before Christmas or like right around Christmas. But yeah, I mean Montgomery was seen as like, okay, well, let's see what we can do this year. But like obviously he was going to be more of a long-term answer. But I did learn today that in 60 games this year as a head coach of the Blues, Jim Montgomery as head coach, the Blues have given up 14 goals with an empty net on the other end.
Really?
Yeah, that's like a quarter of the game, like a quarter. Not saying there was one every game, like I don't know how many, but yeah, they've given up 14 goals in 60 games with the netminder pulled. That just makes you think how many of those games actually had the netminder actually pulled that they were giving up all these goals too. So
yeah, wow.
Yeah, that's got to be a systematic or a systemic issue there that is causing something like that, because that's crazy.
That is crazy. That's a young group there in St. Louis. I mean, actually, I should be careful what I say. They're really not that young anymore. Some of them are young. They also have Ryan Suter, who's still in the league, in case you forgot. And they've got Cam Fowler, if you forgot. He's in the league too. He's with the Blues. So some veterans there, some older guys. But their core is still fairly young. Parayko, Thomas, Kyrou, that Dylan Holloway, they could have really used him, man. That guy had he got plucked for $2 million from the Oilers, and he had over 60 points by the trade deadline, which was just crazy. He was on a heater year.
You have to wonder if how much they missed him in the end. He was playing really good. We were kind of making fun of the Oilers at their expense, but no, that was the wrap up of the first round of the playoffs, and now we're ready for round two, which will begin this evening after we record this episode with Florida and Toronto. Toronto being the host in this one, but let's go by these series here and make some picks for this round as well. And we'll start up in Toronto with the Maple Leafs and Panthers. And on paper, I feel Toronto finished decently ahead of Florida in the playoffs, but for Florida, it doesn't really matter where they finish in the regular season. They're mostly concerned about the playoffs. Matthew Tkachuk is back. They battered the Tampa Bay Lightning. Snail, when you look at this series, what are you thinking?
See, I got Florida, but how many games is iffy to me, because like you just said, they absolutely shit kicked the Tampa Bay Lightning, who I think are very similar to the Toronto Maple Leafs, except they're a little bit better. Like Tampa has the goaltending. Stolarz has been playing well, but like Vasilevsky, you can't even on an off year, you're still not Vasilevsky. Their back end, Ryan McDonough, Hedman, who was playing through like a sprained ankle or a broken foot or something like that.
Yeah,
he had an injury. That JJ Moser is a good defenseman too. I thought he was a sneaky good pickup by then in the offseason there. I think they got him did they get him in the Mikhail Sergachev trade? I think Moser was in Utah.
Yeah.
And that Cernak, he's a beast. Their bottom sixth depth, I think I'm not trying to necessarily go over the series from before. I'm just I'm just kind of saying, I'm comparing them to Toronto, where like you've got, Toronto has Matthews, Marner, Nylander. That Matthew Nyes has really become a player for them. Florida worked Gensel, Point, Kucherov, Hagel, who had an unreal year this year. I mean, they had to basically headhunt him and hurt him on purpose to get him out of the lineup and get an advantage there. But Nick Paul's a good player. I just think that the Florida is going to work them the same way that they worked the Toronto Maple Leaf or the Tampa Bay Lightning. But the one thing that I think will work against them, and this is going to be big for Toronto, Florida is okay with taking a penalty. Like they're fine with taking a 4-minute minor. They're fine with taking a penalty here and there. Hell, they might even erase a player from their roster if it means taking like Nylander out of the series. That's what they've shown me. So I'm a little bit kind of like, geez, Toronto, their power play can be so potent at times, but it also really struggled coming into the postseason. They run that five forward power play. Sometimes they'll throw Morgan Riley on there. I think we saw that a little bit in the last series.
Yeah.
But Robbie, I got to be honest with you, like maybe the power play will help him out, and maybe Toronto gets a game or two. I'm gonna make up my mind right now. I'm gonna say Florida wins this in 6.
Kind of where I'm at.
Okay.
Until somebody beats Florida, they're the champs and they're the best team. I think they were the most impressive in the given strength of competition. I mean, we both took Tampa Bay in the first round. I felt like Tampa Bay was kind of on that rise, but no, they just battered Tampa Bay. I mean, they were completely okay with Aaron Ekblad missing Game 5 and Game 1 of this series to take Brendan Hagel out of the lineup. And Ekblad missed the first, I believe, 2 games of that series because of his first suspension.
Insane.
Matthew Tkachuk punished Gensel and nearly started a fracas. Paul Maurice has them playing the style he wants them to play, and they play it to a T. They do not make many mistakes. Toronto, I mean, I don't really know what to say about Toronto. They won that first round. It was much more difficult than it needed to be. Their fans are still deeply annoying.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
and the media might be more annoying than all of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of hype, especially if Toronto comes out in Game 1 and just kind of seizes the moment and takes that Game 1 at home. You're going to hear a whole bunch of stuff for the next 48 hours. But I think in the long run, in a 7-game series, we went through a whole round without mentioning Sergei Bobrovsky once, basically.
That's
so he hasn't
wild
really
too.
He hasn't made his impact yet. So I have to think that he's going to have his moment at some point. I like Florida in 6, just because this is their time. They're built for this. I understand they've gone 2 years in a row. They're probably extremely tired, but who knows? Those guys missing those games late in the season may, in the long run, benefit them. Tkachuk hadn't played since the Four Nations, and look, he comes out and he looks like he's as healthy as ever. He's as strong as ever.
Didn't he have 2 goals in the first game?
Something like that. 2 goals or goal and assist, something like that. He was just all over the ice. When he's on the ice, he's the best player. He's the most annoying player. But no, I like Florida in 6. They're just too much.
Is Matthew Tkachuk a superstar in the league to you?
Absolutely.
Okay,
He doesn't he's not going to be a guy that scores like McDavid or Draisaitl or Matthews,
right.
But his personality, along with the talent that he does have, I actually think if you're looking at pure skill, I think in the long run, Brady might actually be the more talented hockey player between the two brothers.
For sure.
And Brady's obviously a pain to play against, but there's something about Matthew that just it has to grate you to a point if you're an opponent. Like if the Penguins were in that division and they had to play them 4 times a year and it was an actual blood rivalry, that would be absolutely miserable.
It would be miserable.
Yeah, I mean, playing Edmonton has to hate Matthew Tkachuk. Vegas probably hates Matthew Tkachuk, even though they won that cup.
LA hates Matthew Tkachuk. Remember him and Doughty all the time?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that when Matthew Tkachuk was still in. Matthew Tkachuk. Edmonton hates Matthew Tkachuk, but he doesn't even in Calgary. Yeah, I mean, he's just I'm sure he's a fine person. He's just, as a hockey player, he has to be just a grating person to go up against. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So. Sticking in the East, we have Washington, Carolina, 2 teams that took care of business rather quickly. Kind of forgot they existed.
Yeah.
But these two have a going back to the old Southeast Division before realignment. These 2 teams have done their fair share of battles in the regular season and playoffs. And Carolina is just, we've kind of been on them. You got to do it at some point. Everything I've seen, everybody seems to be leaning Carolina. Maybe that's an omen. But Snail, I got to be honest, I'm leaning heavy Carolina in this series. I just think they're the better hockey team. Just think that they've been playing better hockey. And I just think up and down the roster, especially with the way that Stankoven has kind of injected life into this offense, I just think they're the better hockey team.
Much like Logan Stankoven has injected life into that lineup, there is a player on the Caps that can inject death into
that is fair. That is
Tom
fair.
Wilson is Tom Wilson has continued to evolve over the years. He came into the league, Robbie. He was a goon. He was literally, he fought his way through the American League to get to the NHL as a young enforcer. He was like he was with Tom Sestito and the Tanner Glasses of the world, and the Michael Haleys. He was like cut from that cloth. He was a goon. He scores 30 a year now, plays on the first power play unit, and plays on the top two lines of a good team. He is someone to be feared. And I think Tom Wilson, they've got that McElrath, who is a true heavyweight as well. I don't know if he gets into this game or not. I didn't see him a whole lot. I didn't watch a whole lot, to be honest, of that last series with the Habs. I did watch some games, but I don't remember if he's making in the lineup. Ovi, you don't think Ovi's still out there? He can still truck guys. I just think in the Canes just don't have the physicality, and the Caps, they aren't undisciplined and wild anymore. They're not like a Florida, and Florida, they can use that physicality to impose and win a series. The Caps know Ovi is like a seasoned vet at knowing when to strike with using his brute force. Same with Wilson. He's not trying to get any more suspensions. He's smartened up a lot as a player. I'm on the Caps heavy. I have them sweeping. I have them in 4 games.
You have Washington in 4.
Washington in 4.
All right. I'm going Carolina in 6 in this one.
Ooh, okay, longer series.
Yeah, I just think these two teams despise each other.
I
think you're going to get a couple moments where it gets really, really chaotic. Like you said, Ovechkin, he has the ability to score, but he can set the tone with his body, which he did quite a few times against Montreal. I think this is going to be a hard-fought series. It's going to be Logan Thompson's going to have be on his A game. Hopefully Freddie Anderson is okay. I want these two teams to be as healthy as possible, because I think it's going to be a great series between the two teams that were quite clearly the best in the Metro this year,
for sure,
for pretty much the entire season. They were right up there, and kind of reigniting an old Southeastern Division rivalry, which should be a lot of fun.
It should, man. Is Freddie? Is he not going to start game 1? Is he like that hurt?
I have not seen if they've made a final decision yet.
I did see he got hurt and then he missed a game or something.
I believe he did not play game 5 against New Jersey, which feels like an eternity.
That felt like 2 months ago. But I thought it was weird. It came out that they signed him to like a 1-year extension or something, like the day after he got ruled out. So I don't know if that's their PR team being like, we trust in this guy and no one pile on us about this. Petor Kochetkov has got it handled.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could be totally wrong. The Canes could expose Washington with their just tenacity. That I don't know. The Canes play that like man-on-man style where it's like really, really frustrating. It frustrated the hell out of the Penguins for years.
Washington's going to have to find ways to score first, or at least lead in some of these games, because Carolina will make it miserable to try to come back against.
Yeah, totally. And it might be tougher for, Ovi, as great as he is and has been this year. Him chasing around, whoever he's lined up against all for a series, that could wear on them.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? That could be that's definitely to the Canes' advantage. So fascinating series. Like you said, a little nostalgia for us for that old Southeast division. I'm hyped for this one. This is going to be this might be one of the better series, like pound for pound in the second round.
I think it's going to be a great series. I really like this matchup. Kind of the matchup I wanted, which is like as much as I wanted to see Montreal succeed, I wanted this second round matchup. I thought it was going to be the best possible matchup out of this side of the bracket, and I'm glad we got it.
I'm glad we got it.
Shifting west, we'll go with the series here that we've known about for quite some time. This was VGK, the Vegas Golden Knights, who won 3 in a row after being down 2-1 against the Minnesota Wild. They are the home side. They are the division champs. It should be also noted that all 4 division champs did advance out of this first round. No major upsets there. But the Golden Knights get another date with the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton, who won 4 in a row after being down 2-0 to the Kings. The Kings, we'll talk about them later this summer. Rob Blake on his way out in LA after another letdown there. But Snail, I look at this matchup. A lot of people are leaning Edmonton. Dude, I just don't like Vegas is relentless, and I just don't know if I trust Stuart Skinner or Calvin Pickard enough to this time around. The Golden Knights are playing good hockey. Again, this is one of they're like the Western Panthers. Just get them to the playoffs and let them do their work there. I think that the Golden Knights, at least in my opinion, have a distinct advantage as we get ready for this series.
Oh, dude, just look at their decor. I mean, they got Pietrangelo, Shea Theodore. That White Cloud plays a hard game. That McNabb plays a good shutdown game. Shea Theodore is a number one. He's a number one defenseman on any other team. Edmonton, they're missing Ekholm. I mean, I think it's kind of a miracle that they ended up. I think that Hiller coach ruined that series.
Oh, that was
for the Kings. I think that turned the tides. I think anyone else would agree. And I don't know. I just think I'm with you, man. I just don't think there's any way Edmonton. I hate Vegas, but I would like Edmonton to win this. But as somebody who there's no way. Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard. I mean, you could argue. I mean, Aiden Hill won a cup, so it is kind of hard to argue. But my point was going to be that, like, Aiden Hill was like a journeyman, like a career journeyman backup or whatever. Like, I still don't understand how he's still getting it done, because I didn't really think he was that. There was never a whisper or a sniff about, look at this Aiden Hill guy ever. And then he wins a cup. So the goaltending for me can be a wash. I don't think Aiden Hill is Sergei Bobrovsky. He's not Vasilevsky. But the decor for me, defense wins championships. I've hated that saying since I was a little kid playing soccer, and they told us that. I hate it now, but it's true. I think Edmonton wins this. Or not Edmonton, sorry. I want Edmonton to win. I would like Edmonton to beat the Golden Knights for a plethora of reasons. But I'm going Vegas in I'm going to do 7. I could see them going 7.
Yeah, I'm leaning Vegas too, just simply because I think they're top to bottom a better team. As much as annoying as Vegas has become over the years because of whether it's cap circumvention stuff or just being like they were kind of spoiled right from the start. Like let's be honest,
they're annoying.
Yeah, they're just annoying in general. But Edmonton, I don't know. And maybe McDavid and Draisaitl will have that magic in them. But I'm going to stick with you. I'm going to say it's a long series too. And it comes down to home ice. And I'm going to say that since Vegas has it, I'm going to go with the Knights in 7 as well. Ooh. I just think that, I just like them in a long series, just being able to take advantage of the issues, the weaknesses of Edmonton, especially with on home ice where they'll get the better matchups and stuff.
So we both got Vegas winning, but like Edmonton is going to have their way a couple of games. Like there's
when they get the matchups on home ice, it just creates a nightmare. It doesn't matter if it's Shea Theodore, Braid McNabb, whoever's out there. It just Draisaitl and McDavid cause that many issues. Zach Hyman is in the dirty areas doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
Bouchard, if he's even mediocre on defense, he offsets a lot with his offense. Who knows? Maybe Picard or Skinner could just have one of those games at some point where they're the best goalie on earth for 60 minutes. But I think that on home ice, just being able to match up McDavid and Draisaitl against anybody that Vegas throws out there, it's just so hard to play against.
True.
They're going to cause issues, at least in Edmonton. So
I agree.
And our last series of the first round, we just talked the 2 Game 7 survivors. If you're going to play a long series and an emotional Game 7, you're probably best that your opponent is facing the same exact circumstances. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Dallas and Winnipeg handle, especially Game 1, both coming off emotional Game 7s, comebacks. Winnipeg has home ice. These two teams do battle throughout the year in the Central Division. The questions are obviously going to be Heiskanen and Robertson. They're apparently on track to come back in the second round at some point. Whether or not that's Game 1, we don't know. The questions about Hellebuck are obviously going to be there despite winning that series. Mark Scheifele, Josh Morrissey, what's their status? So, Snail, where are you at in this series? Vegas and or Winnipeg and Dallas?
Dallas in 4. I got a sweep.
No way.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Is it simply because of Hellebuck? Is it
No.
just
no. No, I'm not that big of like a Hellebuck skeptic. I think that he's going to have himself. I don't think the series is going to go long, but I feel like these games are going to be tight down to the wire. Dude, I just think that Scheifele and Morrissey being out. I know that Heiskanen is out, but they've been playing without him already, and they beat the Avalanche. I just think that if Winnipeg is starting out this series without Scheifele, who's their like number 1 center, and they don't have Morrissey, I don't know what the update is. Morrissey might not be out long term, but the fact that he didn't come back in that game is not a good sign to me.
He looked very uncomfortable too.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. That's a huge loss for them. So I just think that, dude, I think like we said about Colorado, they awakened a beast in Dallas. I think that like Rantanen's going to have a lot to say. Duchesne is like an afterthought. Like people don't even realize he's like putting up like, I don't want to say career highs, like as I can't confirm or deny whether or not he is having career highs at this point in his career, but he's putting up insane numbers in the regular season. He's not washed. Wyatt Johnson, he's probably like he's kind of like Braden Point. I think he's like Mr. Clutch, slippery, great goal scorer. I mean, I like Dallas right now. I think it might be recency bias. I might be kicking myself after Game 1 being like, I just think that Winnipeg's a little bit too beat up, and I just don't think, and the Hellebuck thing, I think that I trust Ottinger every day of the week, twice on Sunday, more than Hellebuck in the playoffs.
All right, that's fair. I can't really go against that. I'm not taking, again, I rode Dallas since preseason.
Yeah.
So until they're gone, I'm sticking with them.
Sticking with Dallas. All right.
It's a longer series. I'm going Dallas in 6 here. Okay. But Dallas, the way Rantanen's playing right now, you can't ignore that. If Heiskanen and Robertson come back, that is extremely significant turn of events. But I'm going Dallas in 6 here. To me, they're the better team.
For sure.
Hellebuck, and you got to show it to me. He could come out and play fantastic.
He could.
I have no faith in that right now. He looked downright dreadful at points during that first round series. And it's not just this season either. It's been repeated playoff issues with Hellebuck. So I'm going Dallas in 6. I just think that they take advantage of Hellebuck's mistakes. And if Morrissey and Scheifele are out long term, and Heiskanen and Robertson come back, too much to overcome for Jets.
I don't think you can say it loud enough, Robbie. Hellebuck was pulled 3 times.
Yeah, 3 times. And
he's gonna win the Vest.
Yeah, and he's a finalist for the Hart Trophy. Like he is. Yeah, his performances were that bad in this series.
So I got Florida in 6, Caps in 4, Vegas, which I'm reading this off. That sounds insane almost to me hearing it back, but I'm sticking with it. Florida 6, Caps 4, Vegas in 7, Dallas in 4. Robbie, you have Florida in 6. You have the Carolina Hurricanes in 6. You have the Vegas Golden Knights in 7, and the Dallas Stars in 6.
That is correct. I'll put that out on the Twitters for everybody to nitpick and tell us why we're wrong. And heck, at the end of the day, we're probably gonna be wrong. But no. So that is our picks for the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. But before we wrap this up, some Penguin stuff to talk about.
Let's talk Penguins.
Sometimes
I forget, I've almost forgotten this is a Penguins pod.
Yes, it is. So, one, this evening, you'll listen to this. We'll talk about it later in the week. This evening, May 5th, is the draft lottery. The Pittsburgh Penguins have 5% odds to get the number 1 overall pick. They have the 9th best odds. They can get the 1st, 2nd, 9th, or 10th pick is what they can end up with. Obviously hoping for 1, praying that it's not 10, but yeah, so we'll see. And once we know where they're picking, we'll dive a little bit more into who they could be picking in those slots. Once we know for sure where exactly they'll be at, because I don't want to give you a bunch of names and they end up picking first and we have to redo everything all over again. But no, that is tonight. So yeah, look out for that. It's going to be on ESPN in the United States. I believe it starts at, well, it ain't going to matter by the time you listen to this. But yeah, so we'll talk about the Penguins lottery selection once that occurs. But other news, Mike Sullivan, no longer unemployed.
That took all but, I mean, Robbie, we said it.
We said that. We've said that all season.
In a drawer that's probably been drawn up for like a year.
Yeah, we've been saying that since basically all season when we talked about Mike Sullivan leaving. He was going to get a job, any job you wanted. I think it was like 72 hours later, he was announced as the head coach of the New York Rangers. And a lot of people might groan about that. Honestly, like, we knew that was a possibility. Like, we always knew that was probably where it was going to be. That or Boston, it felt like were the two. But we knew he was going to get hired somewhere else. And just because he gets hired, just because he got fired doesn't mean he's a bad coach. It was just time in Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Sullivan, I don't even think you could consider him a retread hire. He's only been a head coach. Yeah. Like, has he been a head coach before?
Yeah, he was the head coach in Boston for a short stint.
Yeah, for like a
year and a half, maybe. I think he took over for somebody, and then he stayed for a season. He got fired there, and then he kind of bounced around for a while. He was an AHL coach with a bunch of different places, but never. And he was an NHL assistant, but never.
Reports a couple of times, right?
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy that, like, he's 50, I believe 57, and he's only on his like second full-time coaching job. So yeah, he's in New York again. The Rangers still have a bunch of issues, so I'm not going to just jump on and say that automatically this is a earth-shattering hire. But as for the Penguins coaching search, it is underway, but nothing has really been determined yet. I will say that David Carl agreed to an extension with the University of Denver today, so not that it was ever in play, but that is pretty much fully out of play at this point. So that is one name you can probably scratch off the list. Rick Tocchet is a free agent coach now. So we'll see how all that plays out in the coming weeks. But next up, Sidney Crosby. He is going to Worlds, which are being held in Sweden. His first appearance at Worlds for Team Canada in 10 years. He will be joined there by friend and former teammate Marc-Andre Fleury. He
so sick.
He kind of joked that he went home and his kids were crazy, so he decided to play hockey again. So that will be Marc-Andre Fleury's swan song. Will be with Team Canada. I didn't know this, but this is Fleury's first time ever playing in Worlds.
Yeah.
which is pretty crazy considering he's been doing this for 20 years and was a top name goalie for Team Canada for a good chunk of that. But no, he is. So he will get one more run with Crosby. It was announced that McKinnon is going too. And then as soon as they announced Fleury was going, I immediately thought of like the boyfriend meme where he's holding his girlfriend's hand and it's Nathan McKinnon, and then he looks back and it's actually Marc-Andre Fleury who he's looking at.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Nate McKinnon needs to find a new best friend for this tournament. Snail, I don't know if you've been paying attention at all, but the media has already started talking about Crosby and the Colorado Avalanche.
Yep.
Elliot Friedman said today that Nate McKinnon is now going to start his long summer of convincing Crosby to come to Colorado. It's going to be a very annoying summer that way.
It is really annoying. And I think that one thing that you have to think about is like in their friendship. And like, if you've ever listened to any interviews about with Nathan McKinnon, I believe there's a couple where Nate and Sid are even like hanging out together, like, but they're not talking together. They're in the same room being interviewed. Nate has so much respect for Crosby. Do you think that Nate has like, I don't think he's built that way to go ask this guy he idolizes and be like, will you please come to this team? Like, he knows what Sid is trying to do. Like, if anything, Nate probably knows Sid's goals better than anyone else. People are going to speculate this until, I mean, dude, it's going to be a long time. Sid just signed an extension last year. There's going to be a couple of trade deadlines that pass. And to be honest, Robbie, if he goes to Colorado, as Penguins fans, like, are we gonna really are we gonna cry about that?
I mean, probably not. I
mean, he did so much for the organization. Like, Robbie, he supplied us with so much success, first and foremost, and just you can't root for a better guy. If he ends up going to Colorado at some point, the media will have their day, and they're gonna turn it into just a shit sandwich. I think as Penguins fans, we'd be like, if Sid wanted to go try to win somewhere one more time, and you have to think Colorado has to be in the position where they're poised to be even like they need to be favorites probably for Sid to, not just Sid, any big name player to go to Colorado to uproot themselves and go there. Colorado right now with their roster, like the way they turn it over, I mean, Colorado has some work to do, man. Like Sid, I don't think Sid puts them at a cup favorite. I think the media would love to spin it that way. I mean, Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon, sure. Like their goaltending, I'm still not sold on the goaltending. I know it's better than Georgiev, but that depth, I mean, you got Landeskog back. He looks like he's ready to return to the NHL full time. Just throwing Sidney Crosby back in there. Yeah, he could turn a second line or whatever into like a much better line. I don't know. My whole point is it's all just ridiculous, and it's all ridiculous speculation, and will remain that way until something ever actually happens. But Nate McKinnon is not the type of guy to go and be pulling on the sleeve of Sid and be like, dude, just come to Colorado. Why would McKinnon has all the respect in the world for Sid and what he's done and what he is planning on doing. It's ridiculous stuff. So it's going to be a long summer, Robbie.
It's going to be a very long summer, unfortunately.
You know what I think has a better chance of happening? I think Fleury goes to this tournament and has a fun time playing with Sid and McKinnon, and he goes, I don't know if I'm ready to hang it up. I might have to do the tour again next year because he might have so much fun playing overseas. He might with the fellas. He might be like, why am I leaving this?
I mean, that would be quite a turn of events if he would decide that. Not going.
Would you put the likelihood of that more than Sid just being like, I'm going to the Avs?
Honestly, I think I would. I think the odds of both are low, but I think Fleury being like, do it again.
Yeah.
Run it slightly back. Higher. But no. I mean, that definitely adds a nice wrinkle into that tournament now, because I mean, obviously Crosby going is a big draw, McKinnon going is a big draw, but I mean, the storyline of Fleury now, I mean, imagine him. I believe if he wins, he would be a triple gold member, I think.
If who wins? Or if Fleury?
Yeah.
Because did he win in juniors?
Well, no, I'm talking No, a Stanley Cup, an Olympic gold medal, and a world championship.
Oh yeah, he would be. He would be like. Then there's the next level. I'm thinking of the thing that Corey Perry did.
The Grand. I don't know if he won a World Juniors. I really can't tell.
I don't even know where Fleury played juniors. It's escaped me completely.
He played. I don't remember where Mark played. He played in one of the QM JHL,
which has to be one of the goofiest names for a minor league organization. The Quebec Major Junior. Like those are two. Like those are. That's a
kind of like He played for Cape Breton.
Okay.
Screaming Eagles. 3 years.
Yeah. It doesn't have a trophy next to it. It doesn't say that he won there.
Let's see.
Did Sid win a junior? Did he win in juniors?
I believe Sid did. Fleury did not win a Memorial Cup. Yeah, he was runner. He won a silver at World Juniors in 2003. He was a top goaltender. McDavid never won a Memorial Cup either. Erie was not quite, which is pretty crazy. Like they dominated. I don't believe Crosby won a Memorial Cup, but I do believe he won the Q championship.
Yeah, he didn't win the Memorial Cup because I remember that Memorial Cup. He played Perry. He played the London. They played the London Knights and Perry and Brad Richards. I think
that sounds about right. It sounds about right.
Man, I miss those. I miss this era, dude. I think it was the best.
Crosby's second year in the queue with Rimouski. He played 62 games in the regular season and scored 168 points. That's like almost 3 points a game.
That's like almost 3 points a game. That's like too easy for him.
That's like that's basically at that point. Like there should have been another level he could have gone to. But
well, you'd think back then he might have gone to college, like with the way that you can switch between juniors and college now.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
but that's about all I have, Snail, for this episode. Do you have anything you want to say before we put a wrap on this and get ready for the second round?
I'm ready for the second round. I love playoff hockey, and it sucks with the Penguins now 3 years not in it, but we enjoyed it. We got used to it, Robbie. Every year the Penguins were in the playoffs. Like we just got so used to it. There was really no doubts. I mean, there were years where Crosby was out and you wonder, is Malkin going to be enough to get this team to on a deep run? But man, I miss the Penguins being in it. I know that right now we're trusting Dubas to get him back to that point. I don't know how the hell he turns this roster over, and it's not going to be. I'm starting to believe it's not going to be the quickest fix, but in the moment right now, I'm so hyped to watch. And by the time you're listening to this, it'll already have happened. But Florida, Toronto, I mean, it's going to be a media circus. It's going to be. I mean, Toronto already has the attitude of we're going to get bullied. Like they're going to be coming after our players. Everyone watch out. Hockey's a physical game, man. I just can't wait for this media circus that just hearing the whining that's going to be going on. And it's going to be fun to see where our picks land after this series.
I won't lie. I was watching those games over the weekend and I'm like, listen, this is super fun. I wish the Penguins were in the playoffs. I'd be absolutely dead right now.
if that was
the Penguin, like, that would have been absolutely like, I remember like what it felt like in 2017 against Ottawa.
Yes, me too.
Overtime. That just was like, I mean, I was physically exhausted after that game ended. Like I was actually tired.
Oh yeah, I think I was
in sweat,
drained, And then I don't know about you, but after that game, I thought, well, the Stanley Cup's going to be kind of easy, I think, after this. Like,
Honestly, when they beat Ottawa, and I've told this to a couple of people, I may have mentioned on this podcast before, when they beat Ottawa, I knew they were winning the Cup.
I think I did too. I think I remember telling my mom, I was talking to my mom about it, and I was like, I feel like the Nashville Predators, this is going to be a cakewalk for them. You never really know what could happen, but in my mind, I remember they won that game, and I was just like, there's even if there's no way that they were going to lose that series. I actually really enjoyed the Stanley Cup playoffs that year, or the Stanley Cup final, because I was like, it's all but wrapped up.
I even with Nashville, the way Nashville came back in that series, I just really felt like they weren't losing that series. I just
because you went through double overtime.
Yeah, like if they survive that against Ottawa of all teams, they're winning the Stanley Cup. I'm sorry.
Yeah, PK Subban was kind of scary back then. He was
like that was a very good Nashville hockey team. Like if you look at what they had, that was a great team that the Penguins beat. And they did, and it's very funny.
Quickly before we hop off here, do you think that the Penguins actually were like, it was fortuitous for them? Because if you think about, like, I think about like when they had to play Tampa Bay in the conference final the year before that, they had Ben Bishop was the scary goaltender there, and Vasilevsky was their backup, and they ended up having to play Vasilevsky because Ben Bishop went down with that injury, but they and then later on they had Pekka Rinne as in the Stanley Cup final the next year.
So I will admit wholeheartedly that when Ben Bishop went down, I thought they were going to win that series in like 5.
Really?
Yeah, I just think Bishop was the one of the goalies in the NHL at that point. Like
he was.
And again, I knew like as soon as when Vasilevsky came in, like everybody's like, this guy's the future, but this is the first time he really ever had any high pressure action. I'm like, oh, Penguins going to win this series in 5.
Yeah,
and
well,
it
wasn't
desperately wrong.
Yeah, it wasn't that easy. That Tampa team was good. And then, when they played them in the Cup final that year, I mean, UC Saros was the backup because Pekka Rinne was the starter. You could argue that UC Saros might be the better goaltender after.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, I can't wait for the Penguins to get back to these playoffs.
Yeah,
but until then, Robbie, what's your itinerary for watching these playoffs? Have you been, obviously you're working and everything. You don't have a seasonal job.
All the games are at night, so it's not really that bad. Some of the late games I missed the ends of, but most of the time I was pretty the only one that I really regret, I was so high on the Kings that I really just got mad at that series and stopped watching it.
Yeah, me too.
I kind of didn't even tune into Game 6 of that series when Edmonton went up 3-2 because I'm like, this is just annoying. Edmonton's deeply annoying to me too.
Yeah, they can be annoying.
But I wanted Minnesota to win too, but I thought that was just a really good series. Out east, I just really was watching the Toronto series because it would have been the funniest thing ever if they would have lost that series after going up 3-0. Like, we
were texting about it. It got close. It got dicey.
I mean, if they lose that Game 6, is there any way they win that Game 7? Are they in mental space to win that Game 7, even if it's at home? I don't think so. I think that would have been insane cinema as well, but they saved themselves from that. So anyways, Robbie, we can hop off of here. Yep.
That is good to catch back up and kind of talk some hockey. We got to get back on here and get to some mailbag questions or something down the road. Maybe we'll
there is a mailbag tweet out now. If anybody is listening to this, there is a mailbag tweet out now. We have somebody did chime in. Who was it? It was Edward. So Edward, if you're listening to this, we'll get to your questions in the mailbag later this week. So if you do have them, hit up that tweet, get us some questions, and we'll get them to you. We'll get them answered for you guys sooner rather than later.
That's all from me, Robbie. We can close this thing out.
All right. So as he said, for Snail, I'm Robbie. Get those questions in. Enjoy the playoffs, and we'll talk to you guys later this week.